This is a problem on journal bearing when the diameter is unknown. I will read the statement. Design a full journal bearing to withstand a load of 5886 Newton. The load is given. It is noted as W. W is equal to 5886 Newton. Speed of journal is 1000 RPM. The speed is denoted as n. It is 1000 RPM, and we need to convert that into RPS. In some of the equations, we need to substitute in terms of RPS. To convert RPM into RPS, I need to divide it by 60. It will be converted into revolution per second. RPM will be converted into revolution per second. 1000 by 60, I'll be getting it as 16.67 revolution per second. The journal is made of hardened steel and the bearing is made of babbitt. The journal, it is made up of a hardened steel and the bearing is made up of a babbitt. The operating temperature is 70 degree Celsius. Operating temperature, I will take it as T naught. It is 70 degrees Celsius, and the ambient temperature, I will take it as A. Ambient temperature is given as 30 degrees Celsius. It is 30 degrees Celsius. Check the design for thermal equilibrium and also determine the power loss. We need to check for the thermal equilibrium and also determine the power loss. So you need to find out the power loss at the bearing, and the lubricant used is of grade SAE 40. Means whatever the lubricating oil is there, it is lubricant oil is SAE 40. SAE 40, and is given L by D ratio. Length of the bearing divided by diameter of the bearing is 1.5. Means L is equal to 1.5 times D I can take. In the given statement, L by D ratio is 1.5. Therefore, the length is 1.5 times the diameter. In this, you need to design the full journal bearing. In this problem, this is a typical problem where the diameter is not given. How you need to proceed? Okay, first you need to find out the kinematic viscosity. How to find out the kinematic viscosity? You need to see the equations which are there in the data input. Okay, I will show the equation. Here you can see that this is the equation which is used for the absolute viscosity as well as the dynamic viscosity. But there is a misprint in the equation in the data input. Here it is mentioned as Z is equal to density into Zk. This is Z is nothing but absolute viscosity or dynamic. Zk is kinematic viscosity. It should be 10 raised to 3. Okay. Therefore, kinematic viscosity is equal to Z by density, and this will go to the denominator. If I take it to the numerator, it will be Z into 10 raised to minus 3 divided by density. Okay, this is the printing mistake which is there in the data book. Instead of writing 10 raised to 3, it is missing. Therefore, you take it as Z is equal to rho into kinematic viscosity into 10 raised to 3. Okay, I'll be using this equation to find out the kinematic viscosity. Directly I will be taking this from equation 15.1e. Therefore, we know that from equation, kinematic viscosity is equal to dynamic viscosity divided by rho into 10 raised to minus 3. This is equation 15.1e, and below that only he has given the equation kinematic viscosity. You can see that kinematic viscosity is equal to zk dash. You can see that the zk dash is nothing but kinematic viscosity, which is in centistroke. Zk dash into 10 raised to minus 6, that is equation 15.1d. I'll be using this equation. This is zk dash into 10 raised to minus 6. This is equation 15.1 d. Okay, where this zk dash is nothing but the kinematic. Zk dash is nothing but kinematic viscosity and the unit is centistroke. To find this, in the given problem, he has given which type of oil is used. Okay, he has mentioned that it is SAE 40. Okay. Depending upon that, we can note down the specific gravity of that. Okay. For that, you need to refer the graph. Okay. First, before that, I will write down which type of oil is given. For the given oil, given type of oil, that is SAE 40. For this, which table you need to refer? You can see that this is the table which is there in your Belvedere data handbook. That is page number 363. To find out the specific gravity of the oil at the 15 degree Celsius, you have to refer this table 15.1, and you have to see the oil characteristics. The given oil is an automobile oil, that is SAE 40. SAE 40 means you have to refer this number as G. You have to refer number as G, and the specific gravity for that SAE 40 is 0.9275. It is 0.9275. That is the specific gravity of the SAE oil. I will note down that. Therefore, from table 15.1, I will be select number, that is G. From that, the specific gravity, that is at 15 degree Celsius, is equal to 0.9. It is 239.927. Okay, I will round it off to 0.930. And when you see this table, in this he has mentioned that you need to refer figure number 15.3. Here you can see that for SAE 40, I have taken 0.9275. I have rounded it off to 0.93 for referring this figure. Now I will be going to figure 15.3. This is the figure 15.3. From this, we are going to find out the kinematic viscosity. If you see on the x-axis, here you can see that whatever the temperature is there, it is a Fahrenheit, and on the top it is in degrees Celsius. That is the operating temperature. In a given problem, the operating temperature is 70°C. Okay, and whatever the number which you are referred here, that is number we have referred it as G, means you have to see the G inclined line. This is the G inclined line. Okay, and the temperature is 70. This is 63, 66, 69, somewhere around here we'll be getting that is 70. Okay, 70, and G line, where it is going to coincide, it is going to coincide at this particular point. If I extend that, okay, this is line G, okay, and this is the 69 and this is 70. Okay, operating temperature 70. If I extend that, here you are going to get that is 40 or 42. That is 42, and if you see the unit, it is in centi-stroke. It is 40, or you can take it as 42 centi-stroke. Therefore, from figure is 15.3. okay, from figure 15.3 I have taken the kinematic viscosity. Kinetic viscosity is denoted by Zk dash is equal to 42, and the unit is centi-stroke. Okay, this I have taken it from figure 15.3, and I will note down the page number also. It is page number 352 in your data handbook. It's page number 352. Note down the kinematic viscosity. Now you substitute that in the above equation, that is 15.1d. Therefore, kinematic viscosity is equal to 42 into 10 raised to minus 6, and the unit of this is equation 15.1d. it is in meter square per second. You can see the unit of that here, it is meter square per second. Equation 15.1d, the unit is meter square per second. After finding the kinematic viscosity, next we need to find out the specific gravity of the oil, okay, at the operating temperature. The equation is also given just below the kinematic viscosity equation. You can see that the specific gravity of the oil at any temperature, okay, that is rho T. Use this formula, that is the specific gravity at 15 degrees Celsius. Already we have taken it from the table. Use this equation 15.1 F. Therefore, the specific gravity of oil at any temperature, rho T is equal to specific gravity of oil at 15 degrees Celsius minus 0.00063 operating temperature minus 15. This is the equation which is there in the data handbook, and equation number is 15.1 F, which is there in the same page. Now substitute the specific gravity which you have taken it from the table. It is 0.930 minus 0.00063. Operating temperature is given, it is 70 minus 15. From this, the specific gravity of the oil at any temperature, we will be getting it as 0.8954. Now I can substitute these values in the above equation, and I will be getting the dynamic viscosity. Therefore, already the kinetic viscosity is calculated. Substitute that. It is 42 into 10 raised to minus 6 is equal to dynamic viscosity will calculate, and the specific gravity of oil at any temperature you calculated. Substitute that. It is 0.894 into 10 raised to minus 3. From this, the dynamic viscosity I will be getting it as 0.0376 Newton second per meter square. After finding this, next you need to find out the bearing pressure. How to find out the bearing pressure? I can use the equation to find out the bearing pressure. That is the second part of this. Bearing pressure it is denoted as small p, okay, which I'll be taking it from the bearing modulus. Okay, how to take down it from the bearing modulus? For that, I need to refer the table. Okay. Which table you need to refer? I will show you. You need to refer table number 15.6. Okay, table number 15.6, which is there in 356 page number. 365 page number. Okay, this is page number 365. Here is the table number, that is 15.6. This is used to find out the bearing modulus. Okay, the given bearing is a hardened steel. Okay, it is a shaft is a hardened steel, and the bearing is a Babbitt. Okay, from this, whatever the bearing modulus is there. Okay, if you take the Petrov's equation, in that we'll be finding this Zn by P. It is nothing but the bearing modulus from this, the given material. Therefore, the Zn by P will be 2.902. Therefore, I'll be writing that from which table I'll be getting this. Therefore, from table 15.6 and page number 365, whatever the bearing modulus is there, bearing modulus, that is, it is denoted as capital C, is equal to Zn by P, and from that table the value is 2.902. Okay, now in the above equation you have calculated the absolute viscosity. Substitute that. C value already it is calculated, it is 2.902. Absolute viscosity is 0.0379, and N is given, that is RPM. The shaft RPM is 1000 divided by bearing pressure, you need to calculate. It is equal to C value is from table, it is 2.902. Therefore, the bearing pressure is equal to, so if you calculate this, the value will be 12.96 megapascal. After finding the bearing pressure, next is I need to find out the diameter. How to find out the diameter of the bearing? Diameter, okay, that is small d of bearing. I'll be using equation. We know that bearing pressure is equal to load divided by L into D. This equation is there in your data handbook. Equation 15.6C. Okay, and in the given statement, he has given the length. Length is 1.5 times D. Substitute that. Bearing pressure just now you have calculated, and W is also given. Load acting. Substitute all the values. I will be getting the diameter. It is bearing pressure is 12.96. W load is 5,886 divided by length is 1.5 times D into D. Therefore, it will be D square. Okay. From this, the D value will be 17.40 mm. I will round it off to 20 mm. This is the diameter of the bearing. Once you get the diameter of the bearing, and easily I will be getting the length. The length is given, it is 1.5 times the D. Substitute the value of D, it is 20. Therefore, the length will be 1.5 into 20 means it will be 30 mm. This is the length of the bearing and the diameter of the bearing. After finding that, and already they have given the type of the oil, it is SA40. Next is you need to, by using the bearing modulus. Okay. By using the bearing modulus, already we have calculated the bearing pressure. And we need to use this bearing modulus formula. Therefore, the fourth one is bearing modulus to find out the minimum bearing modulus. Bearing modulus C. Okay. We know that C is equal to Zn by P. Okay, and this C we have taken it from the table already here. Here we have taken it from table 15.6. Okay, written that value, and whatever the minimum value of C is there, we know that, but this you need to remember. But the minimum value of C, that is bearing modulus, at which the film breaks, at which the, that is oil film breaks is, it is 3 times, it is 3 times the calculated value. The calculated value is C, it is 2.902, whereas the minimum value of the bearing modulus at which the film breaks is 3 times. Therefore, you can write it as minimum bearing modulus is equal to, okay, it is Znp. This is nothing but C divided by 3. Okay, if you take it to the left hand side, therefore the minimum value of C at which the film breaks is, it will be 3 times the calculated value. Okay. Substitute the value of C, substitute, that is Zn by P, it is 2.902. Either you can write it like this, or C minimum is equal to capital C, that is bearing modulus divided by 3 also you can write. It is equal to 0.9673. Okay. In this case, since whatever the C value is there, okay, C value is, it is greater than the minimum bearing pressure. Okay, therefore, as a result of that, the bearing operates. From this, we will come to know whether it operates in hydrodynamic condition or not. If the C is greater than the minimum bearing modulus, it will be operating under hydrodynamic condition. Therefore, bearing operates under hydrodynamic condition or hydrodynamic. It is a hydrodynamic lubrication. After finding this, next we need to calculate the coefficient of friction, or before finding the coefficient of friction, I need to calculate the Summerfield number. The next one is Summerfield number. Summerfield number, and it is denoted by S. And in the given problem, he has not given whether there is a side leakage or not. If it is not given, we'll assume that there is no side leakage. Therefore, the Summerfield number is equal to R by C whole square Zn by P. It is nothing but the bearing modulus into 10 raised to minus 6. This equation is there in your data and book. Okay, and that is equation 15.68. I will show you this equation. 15.6. Yes, here you can see that to find out the Summerfield number, two conditions are there: without side leakage and with side leakage. In the problem, he has not mentioned anything, means we'll assume that there is no side leakage. That's why I have taken 15.68. If in the statement they mention there is a side leakage, means to find out the Summerfield number, you have to use the next condition, where in that you need to find out, or you need to multiply the above equation with Kw. Kw is nothing but load correction factor. That is the difference. I'll be substituting the values already I have taken without leakage. Okay. In this problem, R by C, it is nothing but the radial clearance ratio. In the previous problems which you have solved, in that he has given in the statement, whereas in this problem he has not given. If it is not given, means you need to assume the radial clearance ratio. You need to assume the radial clearance ratio, that is R by C. I will assume it as 1000. If it is not given, you assume it as 1000. Already Zn by P, it is calculated from the table, it is 2.902. Substitute the values, from that you will be getting the Summerfield number. Therefore, S is equal to R by C, it is 1000 square. Zn by P is nothing but C, it is 2.902 into 10 raised to minus 6. Therefore, the Summerfield number will be 2.902. After finding the Summerfield number, next I can find out the coefficient of friction, that is using the Mackay equation. Therefore, the next one will be coefficient of friction using Mackay's equation. It is according to Mackay's equation. Coefficient of friction, some of the textbooks they have taken it as mu. In your data book it is given as F. That's why I will take it as small f. This equation is there in your data book. I'll be taking that directly. I'll be writing the equation. What is the equation number? This is small c, 10 raised to minus 10 plus delta f. This is there in your data book. It is equation 15.4b, which is there in page number 353. And whatever this delta f is there, this delta f is nothing but correction factor for the bearing. If you see that equation, yes, this is the equation, that is Mackay's equation to find out the coefficient of friction. This is the equation which I have taken, 15.4b. In this, delta f is nothing but it is the correction factor for the bearing. Okay, how to find out that? It is L by D ratio. Already in the given statement, he has given that L by D is equal to 1.5. Okay, that 1.5 value is in between 0.75 to 2.8. As a result of that, the value is in between that. That's why I can take delta F as 0.002. You need to note down this, it is important. And as this is a full journal bearing, whatever the beta angle is there, it is 360 degree. Therefore, K value, this is the K value which is also given in the data handbook. Directly can substitute the values and you will be getting the coefficient of friction using the Mackay's equation. I'll be substituting the values. Therefore, delta F is equal to 0.002 and the K value, which I'll be taking it from the data handbook, 0.195 into 10 raised to 6. Substitute all the values in the above equation. 0.195 into 10 raised to 6 multiplied by Zn by P. Okay, Zn by P, it is 2.902 we have taken, that is Z. This is capital N by P. Okay, in that capital N was RPM. Okay, now we convert, if you want to convert this into RPS means I need to divide it by 60. That's why I'm dividing it by 60. It will be converted into RPS multiplied by R by C. We have assumed it as 1000 in the previous step. Here we have assumed it as 1000, that is radial clearance ratio, multiplied by 10 raised to minus 10 plus delta F, we have taken it as 0.002. Therefore, from this I will be getting the coefficient of friction. It will be 2.943 into 10 raised to minus 3. This is the coefficient of friction. After finding the coefficient of friction, now I need to find out the minimum film thickness. How much is the minimum film thickness? That is important. The next step is to find out the minimum film thickness. Therefore, minimum film thickness. Okay, we know the Summerfield number. Okay, already it is calculated as 2.902 and it is a full journal bearing, means beta is 360 degree. Okay, and from the figure, from the figure you will be getting this figure 15.7, which is there in page number 356, page number 356 in your data handbook. 356. From that you will be getting the value. I will show you page number 356. Yes, here this equation is used, that is 15, sorry, it is 15.9. I have written as 7, it is 15.9. Minimum field thickness. In the x-axis you can see that this is the Summerfield number. Yes, already we have calculated. This is minimum field thickness, that is H0 by C. From this you will get that. And in the given problem, it is a full journal bearing. That's why I have taken beta as 360. Summerfield number is 2.9. This is 2.9. From the graph, the Summerfield number is 2.9. Okay, somewhere here you will get 2.9, and the curve, it is beta, it is 360 degree. If I extend this, it will coincide somewhere around here. If you just extend this, okay, this is 0.6 and this is 0.7, means it is in between that. You can take it as 0.65. That is minimum film thickness, that is H0 by C. I will get it as 0.65 from the figure, that is 15.9. This is, it has to be 15.9 from this figure, 15.9. Okay, from that H0 by C, that is nothing but minimum film thickness. H0 by C is ambiguous as 0.65. Therefore, H naught is equal to 0.65 into C. You take it to the right hand side. Okay, and we have assumed that R by C, this is small c, don't get confused with the capital C, that is bearing modulus. R by C, we assumed it as 1000. Already the diameter is calculated. The diameter of the bearing, how much I got? It is 20. Therefore, radius is d by 2. Therefore, C is equal to, you take it to the left hand side. This will be R is 10, that is d by 2. 20 by 2 is 10 divided by 1000. Okay. Therefore, it is equal to 0.65 into 10 by 1000. Therefore, H naught, that is the minimum film thickness, it is 0.0066 mm. After finding this, the next one is the heat generated. How much is the heat generated? Heat generated is denoted by Hg. This formula is there in the data handbook. Hg is equal to coefficient of friction into W into V. Okay. Below this equation, they are given what do you mean by this rubbing velocity. This is equation 15.11. 15.11a. Therefore, rubbing velocity V is equal to, it is pi dn by 1000. Substitute the value. Pi, diameter is 20. N, RPS, it is given 16.67 divided by 1000. From this, the value will be 1.05 meters per second. Substitute all the values, you will be getting the heat generated. Coefficient of friction is calculated. Substitute that, multiplied by W, it is given. It is 5886 into V. Just now you have calculated, substitute that value. Therefore, the heat generated is equal to 18 point. Therefore, it will be 18.18 watt or joules per second. Once you get the heat generated, after that the next one is how much is the heat dissipated. That need to be calculated. Therefore, heat dissipated it is denoted by HD. Okay, the formula is there in the data handbook. It is HD is equal to Kp into L into T into 10 raised to minus 6. This equation is 15.11c, which is also there in the page number 360. I will show you the page number. Yeah, this is the equation 15.1c. This is the heat dissipated. In this, how to calculate this Kp? Kp, it is given in the next page. Kp is equal to Tb minus Ta. Okay, Tb is nothing but the operating temperature. Okay, minus Ta is the ambient temperature. Kp, that is small kp. In this, if the bearing, whether it is subjected for heavy construction or it is for light or medium, it is not mentioned. Better we'll assume it as the bearing is subjected for light or medium construction. Therefore, the Kp value will be 0.484. If it is subjected for heavy construction, if it is mentioned in the problem, then only how to take it as heavy construction 0.273. Otherwise, if it is not mentioned, always you have to take the light or medium construction. Therefore, Kp value, substitute that in the above equation, you will get the Kp. Once you get this Kp, that is coefficient which is dependent on the temperature, it can be substituted in the above equation. Therefore, Kp is equal to temperature difference, that is Tb minus Ta divided by Kp plus 18 whole square. I'll be substituting all the values here only directly. It is equal to Kp, it is 70 minus 30, 70 minus 30 plus 18 whole square divided by Kp, that value is 0.4743 into length, it is already calculated, is 30, diameter is 20 into 10 raised to minus 6. After substituting all these values, the heat dissipated, I will be getting heat dissipated is equal to 1.83 watt. Okay. In the problem, he has asked, okay, what he has asked is check the design for the thermal equilibrium. To find out for the thermal equilibrium means whether the heat generated, okay, how much heat is generated, it has to be dissipated. If heat generated is equal to heat dissipated, artificial cooling is not required. We need to check that whether the artificial cooling is required or not. Therefore, the next step is to check whether artificial cooling is required or not. Amount of artificial cooling. In this case, amount of artificial cooling is equal to heat generated minus heat dissipated. How much is the heat generated? It is 18.18 watt or joules per second minus heat dissipated is 1.83. This is equal to 16.35 watt. Okay. Here, since if you compare these values, whatever the heat dissipated, it is 1.83, whereas heat generated is more. Means dissipation is less, whereas heat generated is more. That's why I have calculated this amount of artificial cooling. This is the amount of artificial cooling which is required. Why? Because since heat dissipated is less than heat generated, for that reason artificial cooling is required. Artificial cooling is required. Actually, this statement has to be written above this. When you are saying that artificial cooling is required, and you need to find out how much amount of artificial is cooling is required. Okay, this is how you need to design the journal bearing when the diameter is not given.